Hi everybody! Today we're going to start working on Pointillism technique. As you probably watched on the previous video, you could see George Seurat's biography. As you could tell, George Seurat was a prestigious artist who developed the technique of Pointillism. So we can understand a little bit how George Seurat worked and how to do our Pointillism technique, we're going to start working on our basic sheets so I can teach you how to use correctly a marker for the Pointillism and how you have to start working our technique. For this, I decided to divide my worksheet on two circles. My circle number 1 is going to be named shading and the other one is called blending. Today we're going to start working only on shading. For our shading, I used a cup to make our perfect circles. So, as today we're going to work on shading, before I start, I'm going to teach you guys a little bit of how we have to work with our pen or marker. Before we start with our circle, here are some tips for our Pointillism. Number 1, our marker has to be really straight. Not like this, not like if I would be writing, it has to be vertical. So when I do my dots, I can only use the tip of the marker. When I work on my Pointillism, I have to try doing my dots with patience, using my marker gently. I have to space my dots away from each other. And when I want to do a darker shade, I start putting them closer. So this is the correct way of doing Pointillism. Not like this, not smashing my marker. As you can see over here, in my first graphic, my dots are perfect. Meanwhile, in the other ones, you can see over here, they look like lines. These lines are called tadpoles. Tadpoles are usually mistakes that you do in Pointillism because when you work with tadpoles, you can smash your color and actually make a mistake in your masterpiece. So avoid doing mistakes like tadpoles and try concentrating on doing really neat dots. Pointillism is a technique that needs patience. So for our work, I would recommend you to work in times like 15 minutes, then rest a little bit, then start working again. Another recommendation for this is always start with big gaps in between your dots. And then you get them closer. Like that. Don't try finishing your work in a couple of minutes. Actually, Pointillism takes hours of work. So take your time and have fun with our project. As I was saying, we're going to use our first circle that's called shading. We only need one color of marker. You can use whichever one you like, but I would recommend a dark colored marker so that way you can see the details on your Pointillism. So we're going to begin, as I said, doing separate dots. Don't forget to be gentle with your marker and do it softly and slowly. I'm going to start working with these first dots over here. As you can see over here, in this half of a circle, almost, let me see, right there. In this half of a circle, the spacing between dot and dot is big. We have a lot of difference. So I'm going to start with this edge over here, starting with dark. I'm going to go from a dark value all the way to a light one. So what I'm going to do, I already have this part over here done. And now at this side, I'm going to start doing less gaps in between the dots. going to add a little bit more dots over here that are spacing more in between each other than in this part over here. Okay, so you can see over here, you can see a slight difference that over here in this edge, I have more dots that are closer to each other than in the middle part of my circle. And over here at the other edge of my circle, you'll see that the dots have more gaps and are more spaced. So I have that. And I'm going to start perfecting it a little bit more. I'm going to get this edge over here a little bit darker. Always being careful to avoid tadpoles. As I said, take your time. If you get tired, rest a little bit and then continue. Don't leave this project for last moment, because then you're going to be doing it really fast and your masterpiece is going to be a master disaster. So really be careful with what you're working on. Have fun doing it. That's the most important thing. And be really, really patient. Basically, this is how it has to start up with. Once you're done, because as I said, it takes a long time to finish your project. But once you're done with your shading, it should probably look a little bit like this. You can tell over here in this edge that it's really dark, and then it comes lighting up. Over here, I need a little bit more of detail, so there's a transition in between dark and light. So I'm just going to be working a little bit more. So I can get a better transition here. Always go from dark to light, because sometimes you can make a mistake and really make everything only one tone, and then it's going to be complicated for you to lighten something up. So always go from this tone to the lighter one. You can always put some dots in the white spaces that you have. That way you can have add more darkness, more shade into your circle or sphere now, because it has volume on it. So basically, your final shading should look something like this. One of the characteristics of pointillism is, from far away it looks like a painting. Let's see. From far it looks like painting, and coming close it looks like dots. I hope you have fun working on your shading. Be patient, have fun, and make a masterpiece out of your work. Loves and kisses for everybody. See you next Wednesday.